if we're lucky.
And that means everybody who owns stocks, pension plans, cash value life insurance policy, and annuities are going to lose a lot of money because they're in the market. There are exceptions to that, but most of them are in the stock market. And incidentally, there were 7 insurance companies that just received billions of dollars from the federal government because they were on the edge of collapse, and they're big companies.
Understood there. I have 3 IMs, quite frankly, right away. One comes from a German ancestor friend, from the German ancestry. He says, could you ask Mr. Chapman about gold stocks? He used to recommend the Helix Venture Mines and Capella Resources. That's CA:KPS. Mining stocks, but those went down. They went down under ever since. Are those still a good buy today?
Well, Capellar's on its way back up again. It's selling at a much higher price than its low, and they were doing some drilling, and their first hole was very good, and they've drilled 3 more, and probably in a few months they'll have the results from those, maybe sooner. And you'll get a better idea of how the company's going to do. The property in question is in Chile in South America. The other company, Helix, is trading about 50% off its lows. And they have a property in Mexico that they're getting ready to go down and work on. And they also are negotiating for several other properties in North America. So they are speculations, and sometimes these speculative stocks run all over the place, and sometimes they do very, very good, and sometimes they don't. And, of course, when I recommend them, I tell people that this is very speculative, and it has to be suitable for you if you want to do that and fit in, to what you want to do. As
you very well know, Mr. Chapman, the Fed and the Treasury, as it goes, so does most of the nations of the world. My question to you is, with all of this noise in the background about an investigation of the Federal Reserve and an accounting of the Federal Reserve, there is some actual rumors that there's going to be tied with an accounting of the Federal Reserve or an audit of the Federal Reserve, an audit of Fort Knox. Have you heard anything about that? And do you feel that those men in power in Washington, D.C. are going to allow this to happen?
We're going to know. The bill in question is H.R. 1207, which I've mentioned on the program before. And H.R. 1207 is Ron Paul's bill, and surprisingly, the bill has 233 sponsors, which is really incredible. Were they all to, in the House, vote yes on the measure, it would get passed today if they had a vote today. I think it stands a good chance of passing in the House. What its chances are in the Senate, I don't know at the moment. I know that there is a sponsor, and at the moment there is not other sponsors, co-sponsors, if you may, and so we'll have to wait to see what it does in the House. I think it's got a good chance. As far as the auditing of Fort Knox, I don't know whether that's in the bill or not, quite frankly. I've heard that before. Maybe it is, but I don't know.
If the same girl comes back and says, if the bill does get out of the House and the 233 known sponsors all vote for it, that would be enough to pass there. And if 51 senators were to vote for it and Obama were to veto it, it would still be dead. True?
Yes, unless you could get enough votes to override the president. And I don't know at this time if that's possible. I've seen some psychological warfare here over the past couple of weeks. The White House is giving, or wants to give, the Federal Reserve more powers, and the question will be, these powers have to be given to the Fed on regulation of different things because they're the best ones to do it. And how can you vote for an investigation of the Fed when we're saying that the Fed is the only one that can do these kind of things? And of course, the White House is lying. The U.S. government is lying. There are plenty of others that can do these things, and that is not an excuse to keep a corrupt organization in operation. And that's exactly what it is. It is looting the American public.
Mr. Chapman, with all of the...
this is so beyond... understanding this is so beyond most people. It's very difficult. And I try to make it simple, but 98% of stockbrokers on Wall Street don't understand what we're talking about. They don't even know the Federal Reserve is privately owned. And what they're trying to do here in getting these things enacted is to deflect the possibility of a vote throwing the Fed out the window, so to speak. And what they're trying to do is put in a new form of government, and the Federal Reserve will continue to control everything money-wise. And they also want to regulate any company whose activity the Fed believes could threaten the economy. Well, that means they can nationalize any company they wanted to. I mean, this is what you get in fascist societies. And this Fed is not accountable to the U.S. government. It's a private organization, and it's owned by a group of banking families, both European and American, and it's been that way since it was formed in 1913. And there are 12 Federal Reserve banks that own the Fed. And, of course, they won't tell you who the big shareholders are. And this is what it is. It's a green light for the complete and total takeover of the United States by a private banking cartel, and that will usurp the power of existing regulatory bodies. It's going to be a kingdom unto itself. And, of course, this will sidestep jurisdictional disputes and simply impose across broad standards financial regulations that the public will not be able to do anything about, and they're unaccountable.
I can understand that. You made two little statements there that intrigued me. One is you made the statement that most of the people in the stock market don't realize the Federal Reserve is owned privately. Is that a lack of education of our educational system, especially those that are studying finance at the universities?
It's deliberate.
Deliberate.
They don't want the public to know it's privately owned. You know, I took economics in college. I was never told that. It was in the books I used, and the same books they use today, Samuelson. I'm sure they're updated. That was 50 years ago. But they're using the same books, and for the most part. And never. In fact, I don't think 95% of MBAs and doctorates in economics probably know or consciously can remember that the Fed is privately owned.
I have an IM from Betty who has an MBA degree, and she's chiming in and giving you kudos that you're right on. It was not taught to us. And I have an MBA at the University of Southern California.
Well, that's the University of Spoiled Children.
Okay, Betty, you got it, girl. Oh, my word.
She didn't expect that one. I used to be a big SC fan when I lived in Southern California for 36 years. And in fact, I helped fund some of their programs over the years, particularly their soccer program.